emergency guy, busy working as always, and see if he's done my steel rods. We have some stainless bars, so we've got some little ones for joiners, and then the large ones.
Which is now 230 long.
Perfect. Actually, they'll go in absolutely perfect. Right, I need to get them back to France and get building. Well, today is the day. I'm now back at the Chateau, so up early-ish. It was heaving it down this morning. Absolutely, yes. Not nice weather to come out in it. I've got a break now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these balustrades in position along here. And the reason being is I need to drill, as I said, locators on this granite, on this stonework along here. And I need to make sure that they are located in a position where they come up dead in the middle of the balustrades. Obviously, there's no point being over here, nothing to support. So I'm just going to put them in place so I know, and then I can mark it off. And then I can get the rebar, well, not the rebar, the stainless steel that guy kindly did for me, rods in there. I'm not sure whether I'm going to resin them because the weather, it really is, you know, I'm getting in about 10-15 minutes, it's going to suddenly downpour again. Terry's just popped over here to see Carol, and he said when he was coming through Mayenne, which is our nearest sort of town, just south of us, it was cats and dogs. It really was that bad. So I think it's a case of every time I get a break, I'll come out, do some work, and then go back. Right, so I've cleaned up the top, as you can see. And then I can run a laser line off just so I know exactly what I'm drilling, so I'm not all over the place. And that will go across to the other beam, upright, should I say. I think then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay steel rule along here, and then I can work out the positioning of the upright balustrades. So as I was saying earlier, I need to make sure that my pinning is in the centre. Now, love it in engineering world, I would just measure that pitch, literally go along. But as we all know, or most of us DIYers know, when we start putting this together, that won't end up being exactly perfect. These gaps, so you get two of these together, these sections here together, then we have a join, then we have another section, then a join, and you can't guarantee you're going to have those butt up against each other. I mean, I'm not actually 100% sure that is completely level, that. So we'll do it one at a time. At least it stopped raining just for the moment. Sugar soap, xylophane, cowl, washing up gloves. What are you up to?
So the job I wanted to start this weekend was this beautiful spindle.
Oh yes.
I want to do something I want to do this weekend, a nice job. Although before I start this, I'm going to do the banister rail. Now this is in really good condition. And I didn't think it was that dirty, but on closer inspection, yeah, it is turning the water black. You can imagine how many people's hands have passed up this staircase.
It's incredible, like actually. Yeah.
So,
including yours.
I actually stayed to the outside because it's wider.
That's true.
Anyway, first job, I'm sugar soaking it clean, and then going to treat it just to be on the safe side, as everything else we treat as wood in here.
Why not?
The xylophane, just to be sure.
Yeah, prevention. Sometimes better than cure. Whatever.
I have problems getting things out today.
Yeah, I think you just caught the Terry cold. You've only been with him for for an hour having a coffee. Oh dear.
And I have noticed this bit here has had woodworm at some stage, but that is the only section. It's from there to there.
Oh.
So we'll treat it anyway, just to be sure.
Yeah.
After that, I'm going to let that dry in between. While that's drying, I'm going to wash these down. Go back to this and treat it, put some oil on it. I'll either use the linseed oil that I've got or the Osmo. We'll see. I might do a patch test and then I can start on these.
Yeah, you're looking forward to doing those, aren't you?
Specifically this one.
Yes.
And it is going to be the colour, as I said before, the same as the radiators to tie in with the colour theme that's going through the hallway.
The grey, yes.
Which is the anthracite grey.
Lovely colour that. I like that myself. Goes even with the lampshade, so it does tie it all in. You're absolutely right.
So, as always, preparation first. Preparation is key. Hence the gloves.
The only reason I'm stood here videoing you, and you can talk as long as you like, because it's absolutely raining cats and dogs again outside, and I'm getting soaked doing the balustrade. So, chat away. If you like any special requests or any friends, I'm going to leave it with you. Well, that's the first one located on the pin. So I've put a pin, if you like, a point here, which holds this from back and forth. And as you saw, I drilled a pin in at the bottom as well, which is located in. The only thing is, I'm not sure about resin in these today. So although it's in place, I'm happy where it is. I might actually wait. We've got a nicer day apparently tomorrow, so I might just carry on literally putting the fixings I've just done on that one all the way along here. Now I've just had a break from the rain again and come back to actually resin them. Now what I've done is I've made the hole slightly bigger than the steel bars. Gives me a little bit of play. I can't guarantee, it's really difficult to make sure, otherwise if I'm slightly out they won't slot in, whereas I can fill that slight gap with resin, so it gives me a bit of play. Hopefully then we can see what we're dealing with. I've got a level on this, so the top part here that comes along and all the way to the end then sits nice and level, and then we can look to put the top of the balustrade on. But first things first, let's get drilling. Right, back to doing jigsaws again. So as you can see, I've got two pieces that, well, it was one piece when it fell, but it's obviously hit something at the bottom, and well, I might be able to source one if I start looking around the Beconspel or any of those sort of places, but I haven't got the time. So what I'm going to do is just see if I can pin these, literally, although that's timber I'm using my own, literally just put a pin in there. I'm using the laser line so that I can make sure, touch wood, that I drill in the same place height-wise. I've got these level on the table. I'll bring that one close together in a minute. I'll resin then the stainless steel bar in there, and then they should slot together. Now again, I'll make the hole slightly bigger, just give me a bit of play, and then as the resin hardens off, make sure they line up perfectly. So touch wood, let's go. All right, so as you can see, I'm hoping what I was saying here is obvious. If I block the light, you can see the steel bar that I've put in between them, and come away, you see the principle of what I was doing to make sure that when they slot together, they should be good. Well, that has gone better than I thought it would. And now that's one solid piece. Obviously I'll have to just pop in some filler on the crack, but now at least that's one piece solid and go back out, and I don't have to start hunting for a missing piece. And basically that's what I'm going to carry on doing, is just keep pinning these, reinforcing it. If it stops raining, which it hasn't, it's decided to start piddling down, as we say politely, but all good.
So it's all been sugar soaked now, the spindles as well so far out, and it's time to put the xylophone on. It's all dried. It is dried really quickly, which I'm surprised at. It is so hot in this hallway now, I'm going to have to strip off. The heat sources, the heat pump source is obviously doing its job and working incredibly well, because I've never known it so hot in the chateau. I'm using this angled brush so that I can get underneath as well. Do the top first, because the drips will go underneath and we can wipe them up with the brush. Like I say, I'm just doing this as a precaution to treat any of the woodworm, if there is any left in there, and to prevent it coming back as well. And then while this is drying, I can get on with painting the spindles. Now I'm not going to spray them because that will just go everywhere. I could spend more time masking it all off and setting up the spray and cleaning it than I can actually going around with a paintbrush, so that's what I'll be doing. There's no need to prime the spindles either, because it is the rust, the metal, sorry, the paint that goes straight onto any rust and metal, the same as I used for the radiators. That's soaking in quite nicely now. You can see it. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera or not, but the shine and the darkness of the banister rail, now it's wet, is looking very lush. Keep Adrian's grubby hands off of it. Here goes the moment of truth. I'm going to start at the back so you can't see it straight away. To be honest, there's not much light in here, I can't see much either. I'm using a pointed brush to get in all of this detail in here. Very carefully around the banister, which is drying from the xylophone. I think it's almost dry already. I'm like a child in a toy shop when I do things like this, because I know it's going to make so much difference. A difference for, we hope, the better. It's more of a case of dabbing it in, because there is so much detail. First coat. It is going to need two. It didn't cover as well as I'd hoped.
I thought I'd just show you, just in principle. This is one of my problems I'm going to be faced with. I've had to set a plumber's line up, because when I started putting it together, I could see, you can see there the distance from the balustrade sitting on top, this one here, and then there's a drop. And I don't want to be messing around as we go all the way down. I did notice when I was looking at some of these, and I'll try and show you, that whoever done it before had been putting concrete, just literally loads of muck in there as a spacer, an example like that. So someone has repaired this, and I also know that because these are different balustrades. So the thickness is, as in the profile between here and here, is 65mm. On the original ones is 60mm. So sometimes they have been broken, and that's why. I mean, they're so clean, they're perfect. Whereas the ones I'm looking at, and in fact those as well, they are quite clean. So sometimes they have been replaced, and yup, the weather is getting worse again. So again, rain stops play. as I said, piece by piece we're putting it along slowly, as you can see. And earlier on I had to, you'll see I was drilling twice, just purely I do a pilot hole and then follow in with a much larger drill than the rod itself, just so I've got some movement. I can't risk this cracking at all. The bits in between where it's not perfect, as I said, we'll fill that later. But so far it's going well actually. Good break in the weather, so that's been even better, so I can get the resin in there. Hopefully about half an hour or so, and then we can carry on a bit further. But actually, so far, really pleased. As you can see, that was quite successful. There is gaps here and there, it's where bits have got broken off, where it's fallen. I mean, that's got to be a good 6 foot plus drop. But I can fill that. The important thing was to make sure it was solid. The bit where I've resined this morning is now going off, and that's not going anywhere. And I will support it. I will actually put a bar along, if I try and point it along the top all the way along, which will keep all of these held together, as well as pinning this part of the balustrade, the top, through and down into the bar, the balustrades underneath. So it will be absolutely solid. I've only got that there where you can see there was a crack. I've dropped some of the resin in there actually, and that's really working well. So just let that go off before I unclamp that. You're going to ask me, why have I got bits of wood under there? This piece of stonework at the bottom, so if I point along there, this piece along here isn't absolutely flat. So it actually, you know, it's got a slight tilt to it, but I want these dead upright. It's probably why they actually started leaning, as you see down there where they're leaning in. So all I'll do is resin them, as you know, at the bottom. They're solid, then they'll come away. I'll take the pieces of wood away and the spaces away, then I'll just chuck some muck in there just to take the weight, support them better. And same principle on the top here, where they're not absolutely, well, they're not bad actually, but there's an example where they're not absolutely perfect. You can see I've got a plumber's line on there. I can just literally put some muck in there, and then that will be absolutely flush. So yeah, unfortunately I can't do that today, so that's my next job when I come back.